Just starting off what Jay Naidoo was just speaking there very passionately about issues of leadership, about better life. I mean, the ANC has always said that we need a better life for all, and that's what the ANC wants to build. But from what we're hearing and what we're seeing, it seems that we are not there. 25 years on, when you sit back in the ANC, how do you look at the situation today?
Well, you know, fortunately, we're able to disaggregate what has actually happened throughout the country. And I think one of the most useful tools that has emerged in our society has been the way in which the census in our country is conducted at the moment, which clearly shows that we have achieved basic service delivery up to over the average of 80% in most instances. However, the democratic values for which we all stand and still do stand demand that we are alive to the fact that in order to deliver those brilliant services that we all want, you also have to deliver excellent infrastructure, which our country did not have wall to wall all the time. It starts maybe 10 or 15 years ago where we start building dams or raising dam walls or new roads are built, looking at infrastructure of that nature. A number of new schools are built in this country. You have a huge number of university students that we didn't have in 1994. Yes, the expectations are going to be different. People are saying, so what's the next level? What's the next stage?
But in the meantime, we see a lot of impatience on the ground, and we look at protests almost every second week.
But it's a different nature of protests. You know, let's take Malamulele, for instance. I want to go there. You know, that protest is about the demand for a separate municipality from Thulamela. And the accusation of the people of Malamulele is that, and it's tribal, is that the people in Thulamela who speak Venda are not giving the people on the other side of the road adequate service delivery because they don't also speak Venda as they do, which is a very serious matter for all of us as a nation to address. However, having said that, you know, the issue is how you address those issues. So what have we done? You can't have a municipality of 12 wards. You've got to expand it. Currently, that's what's in front of the demarcation board, an expanded municipality, and we're really appealing to people of Malamulele to give that process a chance. We know they've waited a long time. We know they've raised their problems with several ministers and so on, but you know, now there's really an energy that's been put into it by Pravin Gordhan, and let's go forward.
Jesse, is there a disconnect? We had Jay Naidoo just going back, he talked about there's a disconnect, business is disconnected, and the government is disconnected. Is there a disconnect between what the people really want and what the ANC has promised?
Well, I think there's a disconnect between the type of government structures that Jay Naidoo would be used to and a new wave of business people who have emerged in the country and the ANC. A different platform perhaps, but not such a serious disconnect that there's no communication between the government and business itself. I think that would not be entirely correct to say. I think platforms like NEDLAC are a bit slow, and I think there is where there is we need to relook at those kinds of institutions.
But how do you reassure the people of Malamulele and the people of Mujakaneng? Yesterday there were protests over water in Mujakaneng. That, you know, there's no disconnect, that we hear you, we're going to do these things.
No, the only way to do it is very directly, as we've done. Not aloofly. And let's talk about water, frankly speaking. You know, the water depends on infrastructure. Now, for a long time, we depended on old infrastructure. And now a new infrastructure does not emerge in an informal settlement overnight. Nor do you get a water purification plant built quickly. If you settle there, it's not going to happen tomorrow. I think what we're doing right now is we're talking directly. Jay might be right about one thing, is that sometimes the conversation between ourselves and people on the ground, when we say, can you be patient, they say, for how long more? But when you look at the entire country, you've got to disaggregate where the problems are. You can't make it a national generality. This is where I disagree with you.
Okay. Now the other point I want to raise with you, and as a citizen myself, I get concerned when I see what's going on with the NPA.
Yes.
And when you hear about the Hawks, and it looked like almost all the law enforcement agencies except the SAPS currently is run by permanent head. And there are all those issues. From an ANC perspective, when you look at this, are you concerned, and what do you think should be done to make sure that we feel safe? Because these are institutions that are supposed to protect our democracy and the citizens of the country.
We're very concerned. Let's firstly look at the NPA and look at the issue around the head of the NPA. It would have been good if the person had actually up front declared, look, I have a history of this nature. This is where I come from. It might have resulted in a different
But some people
decision.
might say, Jessie, why couldn't our institutions pick it up when they
That's
were
the point.
vetting, the
That's
vetting
the point.
process?
I think we need to say the ANC is very concerned about that. We're concerned about the slowness with which vetting is taking place. We're concerned that it does disrupt important services. But on the other hand, our major concern is the depoliticization right now of the structures of the NPA.